The hum of the engine was a comforting lullaby, a stark contrast to the whirlwind of emotions that had been my life for the past few months. The digital voice of my navigation system broke the trance. "You will arrive at your destination in 12 minutes. I glanced at the screen, the blue line guiding me to my new sanctuary, Massachusetts. It was a world away from Georgia, and that's exactly what I needed. The trees lining the highway seemed to blur together as I lost myself in thought. It wasn't just the physical distance, but the emotional journey that felt like a lifetime. David. The name alone sent a shiver down my spine. Our beginning was the stuff of fairy tales. He was intelligent and charismatic and made me feel like the only person in the room. I had imagined our future together, a white picket fence, children laughing in the yard. But that dream had turned into a nightmare. It began subtly. An extra call here, a surprise visit there. But soon, every time I looked at my phone, it was flooded with missed calls. Every late night at work, every outing with friends, he was there, lurking in the shadows. His love, once comforting, became a suffocating obsession. I tried to escape. I went to the police, but David was cunning. He never left any evidence, always staying one step ahead. His charm had ensnared me, and now it shielded him from any consequences. So I ran. I left everything behind, not even a whisper to my friends or employer about where I was headed. A new number, a new identity, whatever it took to sever the ties that bound me to that life. The apartment complex loomed ahead, grander than any photo could capture. It was a haven with the brick facade and the manicured lawns. I parked and took a deep breath, the weight of the past momentarily lifting. The process was a blur. Signatures, checks, polite smiles. And then, keys in hand, I stepped into my new apartment on the 4th floor. The space was bathed in sunlight, glowing warmly on the wooden floors. It was empty, but in that emptiness I saw potential. A fresh start, a canvas waiting to be painted. Lost in thoughts of where I'd place my couch or hang my paintings, a shrill ring pierced the silence. My heart leaped into my throat. Panic gripped me as I fumbled for the phone, but the screen displayed an unfamiliar number. The moving company. "Hello?" My voice wavered.
"Hey, it's Mike from Thompson's Movers. We're about 10 minutes out. Just wanted to give you a heads up."
Relief washed over me. "Thank you, Mike. I'll be ready." The movers were efficient, filling my new sanctuary with familiar pieces of my old life. As they left, I stood in the center of the living room, surrounded by boxes. It was overwhelming, but I felt hope for the first time in months. Days turned into weeks, and the rhythm of my new life began to take shape. The Massachusetts air was crisp, a refreshing change from the stifling heat of Georgia. My new job as a product designer was everything I had hoped for. The company was innovative, the projects challenging, and the team was supportive. But the shadows of my past still clung to me, making it difficult to form new bonds. I often hesitated and held back, especially when my colleagues invited me out. The fear of being found and watched was always there, lurking just beneath the surface. But I knew I'd never truly be free if I let my past dictate my future. So, one evening, I took a leap of faith and joined them. The night was filled with laughter, stories, and a sense of camaraderie that I hadn't felt in a long time. Among the group was a guy, Mark, who shared my passion for design. Our conversation flowed effortlessly, and for a moment I forgot about the chains of my past. The night grew late and the group began to disperse. I felt a warmth in my heart, a glimmer of hope that maybe I could find happiness again. The apartment complex was quiet as I entered. The soft glow of the overhead lights illuminated the mailboxes and the familiar elevator to my left. I pressed the button and waited, the familiar hum of the elevator's approach echoing in the silence. The doors slid open, and I stepped inside, pressing the button for the 4th floor. The hallway was alive with the muted sounds of life, a sitcom playing in one apartment, a couple arguing in another. These sounds, once mundane, now provided a comforting backdrop, a reminder that I wasn't alone. I reached my apartment, the corner unit, and unlocked the door, the deadbolt clicking into place behind me. The security it provided was a small comfort, but a significant one. I quickly showered, the warm water washing away the day's fatigue. Slipping into my freshly laundered sheets, I felt a sense of contentment. But then a sound, soft, almost imperceptible, the gentle turning of a doorknob. My heart raced, every nerve on high alert. I listened, frozen in place, as the sound continued, methodical and deliberate, the deadbolt. I had locked it, hadn't I? Silently, I crept towards the door, my bare feet making no sound on the wooden floor. I approached the door viewer, and my breath caught in my throat. I peered through, and what I saw sent a chill down my spine. An eye, intense and unblinking, stared back at me. Even in the darkness of my apartment, I felt exposed, vulnerable. I retreated, ensuring the deadbolt was securely in place. My phone was in my bedroom, and I made my way there as quietly as possible. Dialing 911, I whispered my address and the situation to the operator. The police arrived swiftly, their presence a beacon of safety in the dark night. They searched the premises but found no trace of the intruder. Their words were reassuring, but the fear remained a constant companion. Could it be David? Had he found me? But the eye, it wasn't his. I had been so careful, erasing every trace of my existence, leaving no breadcrumbs for him to follow. Yet the feeling of being watched persisted. As I lay in bed that night, I realized that escaping my past wasn't as simple as changing my address. The shadows of my history were always there, waiting to pull me back in. But I was determined to fight, to reclaim my life from the clutches of fear. The weight of the past few days pressed down on me, making every blink feel like a battle against the pull of sleep. The soft hum of the heater and the gentle rustle of the sheets were the only sounds in the room. I was on the cusp of sleep when a loud knock shattered the silence. Panic surged through me, my heart pounding loudly in my ears. The beep of the door unlocking sent a chill down my spine, but the door remained closed, held in place by the deadlock.
Maintenance.
The voice was gruff, authoritative. I remembered the email about the scheduled maintenance. I approached the door, peering through the viewer. The familiar uniform of the maintenance staff met my gaze, the company's logo prominently displayed on his shirt. I unlocked the door, letting him in. He went about his tasks, checking the filters and smoke detectors. With a nod, he left, and I locked the door behind him, the deadlock clicking reassuringly into place. The comfort of my apartment was a welcome respite. I settled into my day, trying to push the previous night's events to the back of my mind. The hours passed uneventfully, and soon night fell. I retreated to my bed, hoping for a peaceful night. But morning came with another loud knock.
Maintenance.
The voice called out again. Confusion clouded my mind. I approached the door, peering through the viewer. 2 maintenance workers stood outside, but they differed from the man who had come the previous day. I opened the door, my confusion evident. Someone came for maintenance yesterday. The 2 exchanged puzzled glances.
The scheduled maintenance is for today, ma'am. It was in the email.
I quickly checked my phone, and there it was. The email clearly stated today's date. A cold dread settled in my stomach. Who had been in my apartment yesterday? I reported the incident to the building manager, but no one matched the description of the man who had posed as a maintenance worker. The realization hit me hard. An imposter had been in my home, and I had willingly let him in. Paranoia consumed me. What had he done? Planted cameras, tampered with my locks. Once a sanctuary, the walls of my apartment now felt like they were closing in on me. I had to get out. I hastily packed a bag, my mind racing. I had an important meeting at work, one I couldn't miss, but the thought of returning to the apartment was unbearable. I decided to check into a hotel for a few days, even if it meant dipping further into my already depleted savings. The meeting room's atmosphere was thick, the dim overhead lights casting long shadows on the walls, and the monotonous hum of the air conditioner was almost hypnotic. Lost in the drone of voices and the weight of my own thoughts, a sharp pang of realization cut through the fog. In the whirlwind of my escape from the apartment, my project notebook, the repository of weeks of work, had been forgotten, likely sitting innocently on my kitchen counter. By some providence, its most vital contents had entered today's presentation. But as the room's murmurs continued, a creeping unease loomed around my heart. The thought of returning to that apartment, with its oppressive silence and memories that lurked in every corner, was daunting. Yet I knew I had to face those shadows again to reclaim that forsaken notebook. As I left work, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, eerie shadows. The weight of the forgotten notebook pressed on my mind. Just a quick in and out. I whispered to myself, trying to muster the courage. The familiar route to my apartment felt different tonight. Every streetlight casting an ominous glow, every shadow seeming to hide a lurking figure. Pulling into the parking lot, the building loomed before me, its windows like countless watching eyes. The lobby was empty, its silence echoing my own racing heartbeat. I approached the elevator, pressing the button for my floor. The familiar chime signaled its arrival, and the doors slid open, revealing the empty cabin. I stepped in, pressing the button for my floor, the doors sliding shut with a soft hiss. The elevator began its ascent, the hum of its machinery the only sound. The chime sounded again as it reached my floor, and the doors began to part. My heart caught in my throat. There, at the end of the hallway, stood a figure, his head pressed against my apartment door as if trying to peer through the peephole. Every instinct screamed at me to retreat. I stepped back just as the elevator doors began to close. The last thing I saw was the figure running towards me, his footsteps echoing in the silent hallway. I frantically pressed the button for the ground floor, urging the elevator to move faster. The descent felt like an eternity. Every second stretched out, my mind racing with thoughts of the figure taking the stairs, of him waiting for me at the bottom. The chime sounded again, signaling the elevator's arrival at the ground floor. I braced myself, ready to confront whatever awaited me. The doors slid open, revealing nothing. The lobby was as empty as before. I took a deep, shaky breath, relief flooding through me. Without looking back, I ran to my car, the sound of my footsteps echoing in the empty parking lot. I drove away, the building receding in my rearview mirror. The hotel was a beacon of safety. I paid in cash, wanting no trace of my stay. The room was nondescript, like countless others I'd seen before. But tonight, it felt different. Paranoia gripped me. I checked every nook and cranny, every potential hiding spot. Under the bed, behind the curtains, even in the bathroom. I needed to be sure to convince myself that I was safe. Finally satisfied, I sank onto the bed, exhaustion taking over. But sleep wouldn't come easily tonight. The events of the evening played over and over in my mind, the faceless figure outside my apartment door haunting my every thought. I dialed Sarah, my best friend from back home. Hearing her voice was a comfort, a tether to a time before all this madness began.
Emma, how's the new life treating you?
Sarah's voice was filled with genuine warmth. I hesitated, then spilled out everything. The fear, the paranoia, the feeling that David was behind it all. Sarah, I think he's found me. I think he's brought others to torment me. There was a pause on the other end, a heavy silence.
Emma.
Sarah's voice was soft, almost a whisper.
That's impossible.
Why? I pressed, my voice shaking.
Because David's dead. He took his own life.
The room seemed to close in on me. Why didn't you tell me? I managed to choke out. Sarah sighed.
I wanted you to start fresh without his shadow looming over you. But maybe you should have known. He can't hurt you anymore.
Sarah tried to lighten the mood.
You can come home now, you know?
I was about to respond when a chilling sound interrupted me. The door handle to my hotel room was jiggling. Panic surged through me. Sarah, I whispered, someone's trying to get in. Sarah's voice was urgent.
Is the door locked? Check it now.
I crept to the door, my heart pounding in my chest. The lock was in place, the door solid and unyielding. I let out a shaky breath, whispering, "It's locked." But curiosity, that dangerous thing, compelled me to peek through the door viewer. Sarah was asking for my hotel details, ready to call the police. But as I looked through the peephole, my blood ran cold. That eye, piercing and unblinking, stared right back at me. The phone slipped from my grasp, clattering loudly on the floor. Sliding down, my back pressed against the door, tears streamed down my face. The weight of everything, the fear, the memories, pressed down on me. And then a voice, one I knew all too well, whispered from the other side.
I love you.
Over and over, like a broken record, each repetition more chilling than the last.
I love you. I love you. I love you.
Sarah's voice, distant from the phone on the floor, was frantic.
Emma, talk to me. What's happening?
Then Sarah heard the beep, the unmistakable sound of a hotel door being unlocked.